Dear ladies and gentlemen, it is my great privilege to be here with all of you to discuss a very important topic which is related to the human form of life. In this human form of life, this is actually, we have got a rare opportunity to know how should we work, how should we design our life, and how should we attain the perfection in human form of life. As we know, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Jatasya dhruvam mrityu, dhruvam janma mritasya. Anyone who takes birth in this material world is subject to death. And after death, one is subject to take birth again. This is the way of life. Sometimes we may not believe that there is a rebirth, but the Lord Himself, who has created this material world and who has created all of us, is giving this information that after death we have to take birth again. But then the question arises that when this body is finished, then who is going to take birth? But the body does not take birth. The living entity who is residing within this body takes birth again, takes another body. And in this way, we traverse through 84 lakh species of life. And that's why it is said that this human form of life is very rare, because we don't get this human form of life again and again. And by getting this human form of life, then we have to understand actually what is the goal of our life. Generally we see that we have to maintain our household life. That's how we have to work hard. We have to earn some money. And in that way, we want to live happily in this material world. Then we think after death everything is finished. But that is not the case. Of course, it is necessary that when we have to live in this material world, we have to work, we have to earn money, we have to maintain our family. But that is not everything. Or that is not the goal of life. This is the necessity of life. But the goal of life is something different. As we all want to enjoy life, but we see in this material world, our enjoyment is obstructed by death, by old age, by diseases. So all these things are actually obstructing our happiness in this material world. And though we are trying again and again to get rid of diseases, get rid of old age, and get rid of death, but it is not possible. We cannot avoid death, we cannot avoid old age, we cannot avoid diseases, and we cannot avoid rebirth. That's how we have to learn the technique. That how can we become happy while living in this material world? And how can we become happy even after leaving this material world after death? That's why Lord Krishna gives instruction in Bhagavad Gita that what is the duty of human form of life. When we understand our real duty, then we can actually enjoy our life while we are living here, and we can also enjoy our life after death. We see that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna states that Chatur Varnam Maya Srishta Guna Karma Vibhagasa. I have created these 4 orders of life according to Guna, the modes of nature, and Karma, according to the activity. That's why we see there are 4 divisions: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And their duties are also prescribed in Bhagavad Gita. That these 4 orders of life, what should they do? How do they perform their duty? And what is the goal of performing their duty perfectly? It has been stated that Sansiddhi Haritosana. When one performs his duty perfectly, then he can satisfy Lord Hari, the Supreme Lord. If we don't perfect our duty perfectly, we cannot satisfy the Supreme Lord. That means we are cheating. That's why we see that the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, they used to perform their duty perfectly, and in that way they used to satisfy Lord Hari, the Supreme Lord. But nowadays in Kali Yuga, we see this Varnashram system is no more there. And though people take birth in different families and tell themselves as Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, but they don't perform their duty perfectly. Or they don't know even what is their real duty. Nowadays we see that there is no perfect Brahmin. Though they take birth in Brahmin families, but they don't do their duty as a Brahmin. And Kshatriyas are also very rare. We see now 2 classes: the Vaishyas, business class, and the Sudras, working class. So, well, we see that these 2 types of people are prominent, and that is also necessary for running a society, but this is like a headless society. The Brahmins are supposed to be the head of the society because they used to study the scriptures given by God. And these scriptures are given for mankind. How do they perform their duty perfectly? And they should understand what is their duty. From the scriptures we can know what is our duty. And then the Brahmins, they study the scriptures and they teach the general people about their duty, about the goal of their life. But nowadays we don't see the Brahmins, they study scriptures or they instruct others about the goal of life. That's why we have lost the direction and we don't know where are we going. That's why we give so much stress on our work, and we work very laboriously to earn money. And at the same time, we are also get so much stress in our work. Nowadays, we see that this is a scene at the office. People are working here. Someone is busy in the phone. Someone is working with the computer at the same time he is with the phone. Someone is attending the guests. And someone is looking at the files. So they are all busy in their office. And they are so busy that they have no time to think anything else. And sometimes we see people sit in front of the computer for 12 hours, 14 hours like this. And as a result, they don't get sleep at night. And I have seen a person like this. He was working in Nagpur. And he was working in front of the computer throughout the day, even up to 7, 8 o'clock at night. And he was unable to sleep at home. And when we can imagine when we don't get our sleep perfectly or sound sleep, then we'll develop brain disease. So we say that this is the thing going on as we are working very hard in our daily life. And here in this picture we see the wife is just returning from outside, maybe from her workplace, because nowadays husband and wife both are working to earn more money. In previous ages, generally the women they stay at home, take care of children, take care of the house, cook for the family members, and give love and affection to everyone. Actually, the women were the main focus in the family, who give love and affection to all family members. And thus the family remains united. But nowadays, women are working outside, and when they work outside, they are also in stress. And when they come back to their house, they are somewhat angry. So we see the husband is cooking now. Maybe the husband has come back from his workplace early and he's cooking. And meal is not ready, maybe wife is angry. Children, one child is sleeping, another is running around. So this is the situation in the family. Because when you are overloaded with work, and stress is there, anxiety is there, and you come back home, there is no love and affection from anyone. And naturally one will become angry. And it is said that a hungry man can get angry very easily. So this is going on, and then we see the third scene, that nowadays people work in the office and also they work at home. Nowadays we have computers, then we can work with the computers. And we can work from anywhere. And we see nowadays many people, they work for IT companies. Those who are based in America and other countries. And when we have night here, they have daytime in America. So they work there in the daytime, but here we have night time. So those who are working for those companies, they have to work here in India at night. So that means they cannot get sleep at night and they have to work with the computer. Night is meant for sleep. Day is meant for working. But when someone works for the IT companies and sit in front of the computer throughout the night, then his sleep is lost. The brain is not rested, and so many problems comes with that. So you see here this lady is working with the computer, and then there are also so many problems to solve in the IT companies, and they have to work with the computer, and sometimes they are unable to solve the problem, they are in anxiety also. So in this way, the night is spent with stress or anxiety. And here we see another picture. A person is sitting in the office, working in front of the computer, and then someone is coming with the phone, giving the phone, someone is calling, or the boss is calling. And then another one is with the checkbook, another one is with letter. So many people are surrounding him at the same time. And in this way, the man, poor man, is stressed. So here we conclude that what are the disadvantages of a workaholic life? We are working so hard throughout the day and night. Then what is the result of that? Stress. We are stressed because of overworking. And the brain has a limitation. And when the brain is not rested, naturally there will be brain disorder. So that leads to stress, increased anxiety, depressive symptoms, angry outbursts. So when a person is not very peaceful, naturally he will be angry. Because he is so much stressed, so much in anxiety. Someone asks something, the angry outburst comes out. And physical health issues like headache, body pain, diabetes, migraine, so many things happen. When people don't get enough rest, then so many body problems start. And sleep disorders like insomnia, addiction like alcoholism, smoking. Because many people, they are very much stressed, they want to forget everything. They take help of alcohol, smoking, all these things. Just to forget everything. But then they become habituated of taking alcohol, smoking, And when one becomes habituated in taking alcohol and smoking, then they will create liver disorder and kidney disease. And when your liver is disease or kidney is disease, then one can invite death very quickly. So this is actually we are doing to our body. And we are also doing to our mental health. So in this way, we see how many problems is coming out from stress. We get colds, flu, cancer, depression, eczema and other skin disorders. Actually, the skin disorders are coming from anxieties. Whoever is in great anxiety, then he can get all these diseases, eczema and skin disorders. Post-traumatic stress disorder, stomach ulcers, heart disease, asthma. So, all these things, this is giving rise to all these problems in life. And this is all coming from stress. And this is a report from World Health Organization. Top 5 stress proved by World Health Organization in studies. Top 5 stressors. When one gets stressed, death of a close family member. Naturally, because we are attached to our family members, when there is a death in family, we are very much stressed by that. And job stress in the office, we are sometimes get some scolding from the boss if we have not done our duty properly, or there is workload in the office, and that gives rise to stress. So, job stress is there, increase in expenses. Because we have limited income, and accordingly we devise how much to spend on what. And when the expenses are increasing, then naturally we will be in stress because our income is limited. And money is tight, and death of a friend. When our intimate friend dies, then naturally we also become affected by that. So in this way, when we get stressed, then we try to get the solutions. But our solutions are very temporary in nature. We think that, okay, I'm not getting enough time, not giving enough rest to my brain, so let us give a break to our brain, some rest to the brain. So this is one kind of solution we may think. Or stay away from the phone. Nowadays this mobile phone has become our best friend. And in previous ages, we had only landline phones. So when we are not at home or not at office, then we are not actually attending our phones. But nowadays we are carrying phone with us. So any problem, immediately it is related to us. Or any problem, it is informed to us, and then immediately we are in anxiety. And when we are attending so many phone calls with so many anxieties, and even before going to sleep, if we check the phone or attend the phone or even use WhatsApp and so many other things, internet, so many other things, then we cannot sleep properly. We cannot have a sound sleep at night. That actually gives rise to insomnia. So it has been proved actually that if we are too much on the phone or in computer at night before sleep, then we cannot have sound sleep. Or we may not have any sleep. So stay away from your phone. So one solution can be, okay, I don't want to attend the phone, so I switch off the phone. That can be a temporary solution to remain away from anxiety. Or go on a holiday. Generally, people do that. Because they are so much stressed, they take a leave and go for the holiday with the family. So that is a temporary solution also. When they come back to their workplace, again they have to face those anxieties and stress. And decide on a strategy. And a person who is getting too much stress or anxiety, he may decide on a strategy how not to get anxiety or stress. But that solution is also temporary in nature. So now we have to think about a solution which can last long, become a permanent solution in our life. That means, how can we balance our life in such a way that even if there will be cause of stress and anxiety, still will not be affected by that. That will bring us a permanent solution in our life. Because stress and anxiety, these things are always natural, it will come. But we have to learn the technique. How to become unaffected by these anxieties. So here we see a happy family life. And how one can become happy in family life. That Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Because this Bhagavad Gita is actually an operation manual for mankind. Like we go to the market, we purchase some electronic equipment, then we get a manual with that, operation manual. And from the operation manual, we can understand that how to operate that instrument. So in the same way, the Supreme Lord has created this material world. He has created all the living entities. And specifically, He has created these human beings. So the Supreme Lord is giving the operation manual how to operate this material world. He is giving this operation manual to the human beings. So the human beings, they should know how to operate this material world, how to act properly while living in this material world. Because this material world is meant for suffering. Dukkha asasvata. This is a place of misery, and this material world is also temporary in nature. It doesn't matter how much we try, we can never become permanently happy in this material world. Because the nature of this material world is suffering. Whoever comes to this material world, he has to suffer. He has to suffer from birth, old age, disease and death. So, the Supreme Lord Krishna, he is giving this operation manual. This Bhagavad Gita is the operation manual of the mankind. And by studying this Bhagavad Gita, we can know or we can get this knowledge how to operate this material world and become happy. And not only we become happy in this material world, when we leave the material world, also how can we become happy after death? So here, Lord Krishna says, Yoga Yukta Visuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriya Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma Purvan Api Na Luptate. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. So now Lord Krishna gives the tips how not to be entangled in material world or while working in this material world. Because we have to work in this material world. And we get anxiety when we are attached to our work. So here Krishna says, one who works in devotion. That means when we offer the result of our work to Krishna, that is work in devotion. Because we have to work in this material world and we want to enjoy the result of our work. And when this anxiety or stress comes from our work, then we have to suffer from that. But when we work as a matter of duty, and we offer the result of our work for the service of Krishna, for the service of God, then our work is purified. Our consciousness is purified. And when our consciousness is purified, then we can control our mind and senses perfectly. And when we can control our mind and senses perfectly, then we can become dear to everyone. And everyone can become dear to us also. And in this way, Krishna is telling the person when one works in this way, he is never entangled. because work binds us. And because we have to work in this material world, but how to work without being entangled? Krishna gives this formula that when we offer the results of our work in devotion to the Supreme Lord, then we will never be entangled, though we work in this material world. Our attachment actually gives us pain. When we are not attached to anything, then that will not give us pain. Next, Brahmani adhaya karmani sangam tetva karote ya lipyate nasapapena padma patram yuranas. One who performs his duty without attachment, dear Krishna says, that when one performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme God, is not affected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. We see the lotus leaf, the example is given. The lotus leaf is remaining in water, but it is untouched by water. If you put a drop of water, still it will fall out. So Krishna is telling in this verse how to remain in this material world, how to work in this material world and still become unattached to that, like a lotus leaf. So, that's what Krishna says, one has to surrender the results of one's work to the Supreme Lord. Then only he will become detached. When we want to enjoy the result of our work fully, then we become attached to our work. But if we offer something to the Supreme Lord, then our attachment will not be there. And in this way, even if while performing our activity in this material world, we may commit so many simple activities. Sometimes we don't know even we are committing simple activities. But if we are offering the result of our work to the Supreme Lord, we can become free from those simple reactions. That Krishna says it. Is not affected by simple action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. So one will remain unattached to the work itself and to the result of the work when one offers it in devotion to the Supreme Lord. Yukta karma phalam tektva shantim apnoti naistikim ayukta kamakarena phale sattva nibadhyate. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. So Krishna says that how can one attain peace in life, free from stress? So he says that because he offers the result of all activities to me, that's why he attains unadulterated peace. And who offers the result of one's work to the Supreme Lord is steadily devoted. Devoted to the Supreme Lord. Whereas a person who is not in union with the Divine, but a person who is not offering the results of his work to the Supreme Lord. That means he is not in union with the Supreme Lord, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. That's why Krishna says in another verse, Yajnakhat karma netra lokayam karmavam. So when one performs activity for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, then he is freed from the attachment of the work or entanglement in the work. But when one works for himself, then that becomes the reason for entanglement in the material world. And with that entanglement, all these sufferings also comes in this material world. And we have to go through all those sufferings. But when we are not entangled, then we will not suffer from those painful situations in this material world. So, here we see an example of a happy family life, which is a Krishna conscious, happy family life, which is his husband and wife and children. They are happy because they have put Krishna in the center of their life. They are working for the satisfaction of Krishna. So they are getting their livelihood, at the same time they are free from stress, anxiety, they are happy. So here another great example, Mr. Alfred Ford, who is the great grandson of Henry Ford, owner of Ford Motors Limited in America. Big person, very rich person. So he was not lacking anything in life. Sometimes we think if we have more money, we can solve the problems of our life. But can our money solve our problem of death? Can our money solve our problem of old age? Or can our money make us free from diseases? It is not possible. Money cannot do this. Of course, for our livelihood we need money. That is a necessity. But if we actually want to become free from all these sufferings, then we have to surrender to the Supreme Lord Krishna. And this Alfred Ford, though he had enough money, but he was looking for spiritual happiness. He had all material happiness with him, but he was looking for spiritual happiness because he was not happy with his money. So when Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, went to America and spoke on Bhagavad Gita, he became attracted to him and became his disciple. So now he is leading actually a Krishna conscious life. And we see this Alfred Ford is worshipping the deity himself. And he is also now building the biggest temple in the world at Mayapur Dham, the temple of Vedic planetarium. And he and his wife is also a devotee. Both are happily leading their life and they are working for Krishna. He has employed his money for the service of Krishna. He has given his life for the service of Krishna. And he is the happiest person in the world, you see. And his initiator name is Ambarish Das. So, Srila Prabhupada, he traveled all over the world to preach the message of Lord Krishna to the mankind, by which everyone can become happy in their material life also. And this Krishna consciousness movement is actually meant for this, to give this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to mankind, by which they can become happy by living in this material world, and they can also become happy by leaving their body after death. Krishna says that those who become my devotee, those who offer the results of their work to me in devotion, in that way they will always become conscious of me. They will become attached to me, and as a result, while living, they can attain happiness, and after leaving their body, they can attain my eternal abode. So this material world is actually 1/4 of the total creation. And in this material world, we see so many different planetary systems, so many different living entities living in different planets. But all these planets, all this material world, consist of 1/4 of the total creation. 3/4 of the creation is spiritual world. That means 3/4 living entities, they are also living in the spiritual world with eternal happiness. We are only 1/4 of the total living entities living in the 1/4 material world, are going through this birth, old age, disease and death, this material suffering. Because we have forgotten the Supreme Lord. We have forgotten our real Father. Because in material world, our father, mother, they are changing in every birth. This lifetime we have certain father and mother, but they were not our father and mother in our previous life. Or they will not become our father and mother in next life. So they will change. In every lifetime, our father, mother, our material relationship, are all changes. But our relationship with the Supreme Lord never changes. That's why Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Pitaham nasya jagata, mata dhata pitaham. So I am the father, I am the mother, I am the grandfather of all living entities. And Krishna is sitting in everyone's heart as Paramatma. In every lifetime, Krishna is also coming with us as Paramatma. So he is our real father and he is not leaving us, but we have forgotten. That is our real problem in this material world. That's why to revive our relationship with the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada preached the message of Bhagavad Gita all over the world. And he opened so many temples of Krishna. During Prabhupada's lifetime, he opened 108 temples. And now we have 650 temples around the world. And though in India, we have many temples. People go to different temples, take darshan of the Lord, offer some bhoga, pray something, they come back. But our temples, Eastern temples, are something special. It is very famous for its cleanliness. Eastern temples are famous for their beautiful deities and their dress also. At the same time, Eastern temples are actually a place for teaching the message of God. In other temples we don't see that people that teach the message of God. But in Eastern temples, anyone who comes to the temple, he can learn about Bhagavad Gita, about the instruction of Krishna for the mankind. And accordingly, he can practice in his daily life and make his life perfect.